She's a seasoned HR professional with hands on experience in designing and executing talent management and organizational development projects for large and mid sized organizations. She has demonstrated a history of working in the hospitality, food, BFSI, and IT sector, currently working as HRBP for sales. She has completed an MBA from Dublin Business School, Ireland, with major in human resources. In today's episode, let's get insights around performance appraisal discussions. I'm sure it is the topic which everybody is curious to know. So we are going to get insights around performance appraisal discussions from Nikita Gupta. Hello. Hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, The Guiding Voice for a Better Future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. In case if you have tuned into our podcast for the first time, you have missed a lot of stuff because we have covered a gamut of topics which is going to help every professional students, IT employee, as well as entrepreneurs to shape their careers as well as lives. But don't worry, all our previous episodes are available on your favorite podcast listening platform as well as on YouTube. In case if you have not rated our podcast on Apple, please provide your rating and leave a positive review. Because every rating and review will motivate us to bring in more and more content to you. This is your host Naveen Samala, and I have about 18 years of rich and diverse experience in the IT industry. And in every episode, we interact with thought leaders, industry experts, academicians, entrepreneurs, or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help each one of you learn some amazing things. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact towards the end. So stay tuned till the end. You will acquire more knowledge per every minute by listening to TGV than any other podcast in this space. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, folks, one of the most coveted topics in the industry today, irrespective of whether it is IT or BFSI, retail or sales, any domain you take, people are concerned about appraisal discussions. So, for some of them who are very well prepared, performance appraisal discussions are a cakewalk. But for a few of them, butterflies start running in the stomach. Likewise, there are so many facets of these performance appraisal discussions, and there are so many myths as well about why these performance appraisals are being done, so on and so forth. So, today we are going to unleash the topic of performance appraisal discussions, and we are extremely pleased to have Nikita, part of TGV's journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Nikita, welcome to TGV.
So, hey, hi, Naveen. Thank you for having me here. Definitely, what you folks are doing is a great thing. And I'm equally excited to be a part of your journey. So, yes, let's get started.
Fabulous. So, Nikita, let's talk with your career journey and maybe you can highlight top three things that have helped you so far.
Great. So, to talk about my career journey, I began my career as a hotelier, which was back in 2008. I got opportunity to work with some of the elite hotel chains, and I was doing very good in my career in hotels. My learning curve was pretty decent, I would say. And bam, that is where I got an opportunity to do my MBA. And I flew across the globe to and landed to Ireland. That is where I did my MBA from, and that was the first time where I started learning about human resources. And as people, very fondly say that, what does HR do apart from making rangolis? And that's where I learned what HR does apart from making rangolis. So that's where it all began. Top three things that have helped me so far to start with, I think guidance and support from my family. That has been a very big constant in my life so far. And I'm really thankful for my family for always guiding me and supporting me. The second thing is, I always had this urge to learn something new every day, be it professionally or personally. So I think that is another thing which has helped me so far. And then passion. I mean, I strongly believe that if you're passionate, you can achieve anything and everything under this earth. So these are the three things which have really helped me so far.
That's a fantastic summary, Nikita. I love that statement. you wanted to learn something beyond making rangolis, and that's how the MBA helped. That's a common misconception that many people have, and they don't understand the kind of work that is done by the HR fraternity. In fact, I've heard similar comments from a few of other HR leaders who have been part of TGV's journey, and in fact, they
Right.
have also clarified many things in this aspect. All right, so it looks like you had a gamut of experience covering diverse portfolios, diverse industries as well. One thing which I really loved in the three things that you mentioned is guidance and support from family, which you mentioned as first. Yeah, that is something which we often take it for granted. In fact, yesterday I wrote a blog about the creation of new platform, the TGV
Mhm.
blogs and all, and in that I've openly acknowledged saying that. Yeah, all these efforts behind TGB wouldn't have been possible or wouldn't have been possible without the family support, because we spend a lot of efforts post our regular office hours and all, and
Mhm.
they have been foregoing me time with us. Definitely, I think that's a very wonderful point. We should stop overlooking whatever we are getting from the family in terms of the guidance and support, and in addition to that, we have to be grateful to them. So thank you for bringing that. And with that note, let me talk about core of today's topic: performance appraisals. Of course, every organization has its own cycles. Talking about my experience, I worked for General Electric, where we
Mhm.
used to have something called as EMS. So
Mhm.
EMS is nothing but employee management staffing. That's a phrase that we use for the performance appraisal discussion. And it
Mhm.
used to be so rigorous. Like we used to spend almost like 2 to 3 months in preparing for the conversation, preparing for the write up, and then getting it
Mhm.
reviewed by the peers, seniors. And once you submit again, you get some acknowledgement from your leader, and then you get into the actual conversation. So it used to be a very rigorous process. And by the
Mhm.
time I exited, G got into a mode wherein they said no to these performance appraisals. In the sense,
Mhm.
they have moved to no ratings. The ratings won't be published as such. However,
Mhm.
based on the performance and based on some internal strength assessment kind of thing, the hikes or the raises used to happen. Likewise, I have
Mhm.
seen my own version of
Mhm.
this performance appraisal and why it is important. But I would
Mhm.
really take this opportunity to unleash the topic of performance appraisals. Why is it so important for any organization? So maybe you can share few nuances out of your experience.
Sure, Naveen. Well, to start with, I would say that performance appraisals, when I say this particular term or when I say this particular word, so it's basically classified into three very important aspects. One is setting up goals for the employee. Then the employee or the manager together goes through the entire process, and then it ends on how do we improve our performance or how do we upgrade our performance. So these are the three important aspects of this entire process. If you ask me personally, it's a foundation brick for any organization, its employees. And why? Because if you don't have your goals set in place, you would really do not know that what is it that you want to achieve out of your contribution in that organization, and on your career also as a whole. Also, like I hear you were mentioning about myths. So one myth that I would want to break over here is that usually when we hear the word performance appraisal or performance management, the first thought that comes into anyone's mind is, array, salary hike, salary hike. This is the time that we are going to have hikes. How much percentage should we get this time? What is the market doing? Let me see what work have I done which is worth so and so, and the company is just giving me this much money. So a lot of things comes into someone's mind around hikes. Well, definitely increment, promotions, the redesignations, these are all very important outcomes of this process. But like I said, it's very important that an individual has visibility on about their targets, their objectives, or rather we could say the key performance indicators. And once we get there, of course, there's a lot of work done in terms of evaluation, understanding your behavior and the cultural aspects as well, and link it through the performance appraisals. So, overall, to summarize, it's important because it's a foundation break for anyone's career and for the organization as well.
That's a super summary, I would say. It reminded me certain things. Often, many people come to me and ask, "Hey, how do I contribute more and how do I be visible to the senior leaders? I keep telling them, like, first, why don't you relate your work to the organization goals and objectives? What is the role that you are playing as an individual, and how is it impacting the overall company's revenue? Of course, at times, somebody's work may or may not be related directly to the company revenue, but what if you stop doing this work? Is it going to impact the organization in some way or the other, right? Yeah, thank you for clarifying about all the three steps that are involved, right? From setting up the goals, and few organizations also have this mid-year appraisal kind of thing, wherein you do a midpoint check to see how the employee is doing. And at the same time, organizations also, I mean, the leaders also clarify in terms of if there is any shift in the priorities, so on and so forth. Yeah, that has been a great set of thoughts. So with that, let's try to understand the history of performance appraisal discussions. Like, how did it evolve?
Well, while I was studying, I actually was surprised to hear, and it's a very interesting history that the entire process has. But just in a nutshell, it actually started or it actually commenced during World War One. Can you imagine? Back then, people were evaluated, and they were asked to fill forms and talk about what have they done in the organization so far. I mean, that was when I learned the fact. Imagine, I still remember that particular line till now. That in World War One, people had this facility. Talking about how it has evolved, I think it has evolved tremendously from filling out forms manually to moving on to various kind of platforms, and having a 5-point rating scale, then probably a 4-point rating scale, then just sitting in a room and hearing from your manager what have you done, to having a two-way conversation, to 360-degree feedback, learning from your peers how have you really performed. So I think there's a huge the process has evolved in a big way. Secondly, I think apart from your professional development, which is your objectives, your KPIs, there's a lot of focus which this process is now working on your personal development as well. So today, Nikita may be an excellent professional or an outstanding person in achieving her objectives, her KRAs, her KPIs. But how is she in terms of her behavior? How is she in terms of following or adhering to the culture of the organization? Is she really a people's person? Is she really honest? Does she talks about integrity? So a lot of emphasis is there from the organization on the way you conduct yourself in an organization. So in fact, 80%, a lot of organizations do this, that 80% of the overall score which you get, out of which 80% is weightage is given to your KPIs, and the rest of the 20% is given towards how your behavior is. So that can be related to the cultural values, the competencies which the particular role has. So these are certain ways in which the organizations has evolved. And like I spoke, 360-degree feedback, understanding from your peers, from your cross-functional team members, from your dotted line reporting managers, everyone, that how are you as an individual. In fact, in a lot of organizations, while there are annual discussions which happens, but they also see that how have you really performed over the tenure that you've been in the organization. So if I've been here for 2 years, for 3 years, how have I evolved as an individual in my role in the organization. So yeah, that's a lot of evolvement that is happening, and I'm sure it will keep evolving as we move to a fully digital era.
Phenomenal summary, I would say. And it is stunning to note that this concept of performance appraisal commenced during World War One. Good to know about that. When you mentioned about the KPIs as well as the behavior part of it, it reminded me of something like it's not what you do it, but how you do it, right? Whether you are an inclusive person, right? And what has been your camaraderie with the team members? How have you gelled well? And what are the challenges? How did you overcome them and all? Yeah, those things come into picture, and definitely they are going to add a lot of value and also help in deciding the final rating to someone. With that, let me move on to my next question. Leader plays a very critical role because leader is the face of the organization when it comes to these appraisal discussions. So what will be your advice to those leaders who are conducting appraisal discussions to their employees? What are some of the do's and don'ts that you would like to share?
There's a long list which we usually as HR professionals give to managers on this, but I would highlight the top two, three aspects which are important. To start with, I think the basic expectation from any team leader is to make this process a two-way process. I think it's very important that while the team member is working a lot and spending, like you said, 2 months, 3 months, a lot of time in self reflection and understanding their achievement, I think the contribution of manager towards every team member should be the same. They should definitely spend time, personalize their feedback. Personalize is the keyword over here. Personalize their feedback for each and every individual, because that will make a huge difference and impact for the individual who's getting the feedback. A lot of folks feel that, okay, culture, what should I write? Culture is so lengthy. What lines should I write? Let me just copy paste it for everyone. So that is where you need to personalize your feedback, so that the employee feels that there has been a lot of efforts that are put by the manager. A second thing, and a very common mistake which managers do most of the times, is hold on to their thoughts for the end of the year to have this conversation. I always, motivate the managers to have the discussions or give a feedback or give a recognition as soon as they feel that is required. That is very meaningful for the employee and for the manager, one. And second, in the entire process, when you start giving feedback, then and there, the whole conversation of this annual appraisal or a mid-year appraisal becomes more meaningful. Otherwise, if for the entire year, imagine if I have to talk to you about your entire year, both the parties, even I and you, will be so bored and we'll be like, okay, let's just get over it. You give me what you have to give, I will also just take what I have to take. So let's bring meaning to this whole conversation. Third, I think it's very important for the manager to circle back or to discuss what has happened, what was the action item from last time. So I can say that, okay, Nikita, you have to improve in your team collaboration in say 2019 April, and then 2020 April there's no conversation. It's been a year and no one knows have I really worked on collaboration or not. So it's very important that I can have a 30, 60, 90-day plan with those very beautiful documents there in place, with beautifully written in nice English. But it's very important for a manager to come back and ask the employee that have you really done something about it. So these are some important things which a manager should do, and be practical, be positive, be realistic, and keep motivating your employees. That's something which is very important.
That was truly remarkable. So talking about this instant feedback, completely resonate with you, because in case if managers can provide instant feedback, right? You never know, the employee might adjust and might be able to do a self-reflection and come on to the right track immediately rather than waiting till the year end. That is a very, very important aspect, and I strongly urge all the leaders to start practicing to provide the instant feedback in case if you're not doing already. All right, so with that, let me flip the question and ask you, what are the do's and don'ts from the employee perspective?
Very interesting question. And from the employee's perspective, I think this is one thing which I've already highlighted. Very first thing, please, please, please don't treat that process as an opportunity to get a salary hike. Please do self-reflection, focus on your career progression. What are your area of improvements? It's very important that you document everything in a very niche detail, because that is when you can have a very meaningful conversation with your manager. That's something which is extremely critical, and that's a very must to do for all the employees. Second thing is, and this is again a bit funny when I talk about it, but trust me, everyone does this. Not everyone, most of the people do this. You have to be honest and real about your performance, right? So, for example, if you had to achieve XYZ numbers and you have achieved XYZ numbers, then you will get a rating of 3, and that's a meets expectations. But what usually the employees do is that they just feel that, oh, I had to achieve 10 and I have achieved 10. That's outstanding. So that is where, please be real, folks. If you had to achieve 10 and you achieved 10, that's something which you had to achieve. So that's a meets expectations. And please do not just go and mark yourself OS over there, or don't expect that I've done something very extraordinary over there. And like I said, it's always not your manager who's responsible to come to you and block your time to share the feedback. You have the right to go to your manager at any point in time and know the who, how, what, when, and not to just wait for the annual appraisal process. These are the top three things that come to my mind when you say what are the do's and don'ts for the employees.
That was outstanding, Nikita. I would like to add my 2 cents here. When it comes to the performance appraisal discussions as an employee or as a member in the team, imagine as if you are going to stay in that company for your entire career. Then probably we can have a very prolific discussions, and at the same time it will be very constructive for both the employee as well as leader. And second part is set the expectations very clearly right from day one. Like, let's assume you have joined the team newly, or you have a new boss. Very first conversation, you share your working style, what you like, what you don't like, what is the frequency that you like to get feedback and all. So as you mentioned, probably it is always advisable to seek feedback as early and as often as possible, but be prepared. Like, when it comes to feedback, many times what I've seen is people take it personally. It's not a personal feedback. It is something which we have to take it in a constructive way, right? It is always for the betterment of the individual, like, because everybody has their strengths and development needs. Even the CEO or the head HR, right? They have their own strengths, they have their own development needs, and everybody starts working on it. But when it comes to the development needs, the early career professionals or those who have joined recently, they think, okay, this is something negative. No, in case if somebody is really giving you a feedback to improve on something, take it positively. Do a self retrospection, and in case if you think not the same as what your leader has mentioned, then probably you go with your data points and say, okay, this might be a wrong assumption from your side, or it may be because of preconceived notion or whatever it is. But be open, because the more feedback that we seek and the more we work on the feedback, the better we become. So thank you for those amazing thoughts so far. With that, let me move on to my next question, Nikita. How this performance appraisal process is different in other industries or domains from the IT and ITES sector? Because you have seen multiple industries and sectors so far. So it would be great if you could add certain insights around this.
So, Naveen, to be honest, there are various approach through which organizations would want to come to a conclusion when it comes to performance management of employees, right? A lot of them follow a balanced scorecard approach. In fact, most of them still follow balanced scorecard approach. But I personally feel, and what I've really witnessed is that a lot of this depends on the maturity of the industry that we are in. One. And the second is that, what is the impact that each role is creating in the organization? Are there roles which can really make a huge difference, or are there roles which are more of a office job and probably cannot come into the picture where they can make a huge difference in terms of getting revenue for the organization? So all of these factors are also very important. Apart from this, I think, what is the team size, what is the complexity of the reporting which the employees have within the organization? These are also some key factors when you kind of differentiate or bring in the performance process for your team. So overall, I would say that the context of each organization, that is the key, and that makes the difference. You want to define the process for various sectors, industries, and organizations on a whole.
That's quite an impressive summary. And with that, let me move on to my next question, Nikita. What are the trends that you foresee in these performance appraisal discussions when we are talking about AI, ML, and so on? Of course, you may or may not touch the aspects of these advancement in technology, but overall, what is that you foresee?
So, Naveen, like you mentioned when we started this conversation, right? Many organizations they have started moving away from a forced ranking method to assigning ratings to the individuals directly or to the kind of projects that they are doing, right? They in fact have done away with the annual appraisals. They just do regular check-ins, and that is the way they have increased the number of formal discussions, between the leader and the employees. So these are various trends that have been changing in the process. However, overall, if you ask me, I see that the process is evolving, and a lot coming forward. There will be a big change in terms of how employees are, I wouldn't say judged, but the employee performance is noted by any organization. It's very important that the employees and the managers feel empowered. They are enabled with the right kind of tool so that the overall vision is met. So this is something which is very key, so that this process can be utilized in the right way. And of course, the success of the process largely depends on how the managers and the employees take it, whether they have the ability to have a healthy disagreement. That's the very key word, healthy disagreement amongst each other, because that is how overall the organizations can grow, whether it's a niche organization or it's a startup or a well furbished org. For me, the takeaway is having a healthy disagreement, and of course enabling your managers and employees to kind of have a better discussion in place.
Yeah, this reminded me of a tool which we used to have at ADP, wherein there were weekly check-ins by the employees, and employees had an opportunity to provide free flow information in terms of what they liked most and what has been loathed and all, and also were they able to discuss the priorities with their respective leader during that particular week and all. So likewise, every week employees are expected to fill this information, and towards the year end, this tool is going to generate certain reports and insights which will be helpful for the leaders in the appraisal process, so that you don't have to formally fill again tons of sheets or forms in order to submit their accomplishments, so on and so forth. Thanks for sharing those details. So, Nikita, it has been a terrific conversation so far, but we would like to end this show on a high note. Okay, let us add some spice to the episode by asking a few interesting rapid fire questions, wherein I'm going to shoot a few interesting questions and you can answer them very briefly, like 2 to 3 words or max one phrase. If you're ready, let's get started.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'm ready.
Wonderful. That's the spirit. With that, let me move on to my first question out of the rapid fire. Nikita, given a chance, would you time travel to past or future?
I would love to stay in present, and I truly believe in present is a present. So my answer is present.
Fair enough. Yeah, what's better than being in present rather than dreaming or worrying about the past? All right. Let's move on to the next one. Which other planet would you live if given a choice? Don't say Earth again. Huh?
I am going to say Earth. I love where I am. I would stick to Earth.
Okay, fair enough. I guessed your answer, in fact. All right, so moving on to my next question. What has been your childhood fascination?
Traveling. I am glad that I'm doing a lot of traveling, and yeah, that's something which I really liked.
Okay, here comes my favorite question, which I asked to majority of the guests. Okay, so what has been a question on your mind for which you never got an answer for?
This is a very interesting question. I think my answer to this will be, I was reading something last night, and that's why this answer. Why are wives tagged as troublemakers? I think there are no answers to this.
You know, in one of the recent conversations, one of the guests he said, given a chance, I would like to read a women's mind.
Wow, that is why I said why are wives tagged as troublemakers? Great.
Interesting. All right. Let's move on to the last bullet out of the rapid fire. So, Nikita, what is one message that you would like to give to your own younger version?
I think reading is something which is very important, and read is one thing which I want to give to my own younger version.
All right. That was a crisp and outstanding rapid fire. With that, let me flip back to the mainstream and ask you one final question for today's conversation. So, what will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers?
Well, I think it's very important to have passion. We need to have a passion towards what we do. I think passion brings a sense of eagerness, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of happiness when you come to work or do anything. And that's what makes you special and different from everyone else. And with passion, I would also like to add that we should do what we like and not what our parents like, what our neighbors like, and what our relatives like. That is something which is very, very important. That's a big message that I want to give to a lot of aspiring young folks out there.
What a coincidence. I also believe in this passion. Like if you are really passionate about what you are doing, you don't feel like you are working. The best example is our TGV. We have started our journey about 18 months ago as a passion project, but that is fueling us. Fantastic. So, Nikita, thank you so much for joining us today. It was wonderful to hear your insights about performance appraisal discussions at large. Thank you for sharing those amazing insights. And it was pleasure to have you being part of TGV's journey in shaping the lives and careers of millions across the globe.
Thank you so much, Naveen, for having me here. And like I said, you are doing a great, great job. And I really hope that folks out there are listening and shaping up their careers in the right way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the kind words and pleasure hosting you. All right, so folks, today we discussed about performance appraisal discussions wherein Nikita has shared a lot of her perspectives and insights around the topic. And I have also shared a few of my insights. Definitely, I would like to listen from each one of you in terms of what are some of the best practices that your organization has been doing with regard to performance appraisal discussions. In case if you have tuned into this episode from YouTube, probably you can leave your comments or else you can visit any of our social media platforms and leave your comments related to this particular episode post. We'll look forward to get feedback from you as well as learn from each one of you. Thank you in advance. All right. So before we move into trivia section, again, here is a request to all of you. If you have loved this episode just like I did, and if you have found it useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from our show, The Guiding Voice. Because the more you share, the wider we reach and we get closer to our mission of reaching millions across the globe. Thank you so much in advance. With that, let's hop on to trivia segment of today's episode. So folks, today's trivia is about the cost of poor management. And I picked this trivia based on our topic for today, which was performance appraisal discussions. So I know you might be thinking about what could be the cost of poor management, but let me reveal you the answer. In Gallup's State of the American Workplace report, Jim Clifton, who is the CEO of Gallup, estimated that United States businesses are losing around 450 to 500 billion USD every year due to poor management, which means most organizations are operating with a 5 to 10% of productivity loss that better leadership practices could eliminate. And, it could be costing as much as whopping 7% of their total annual sales, which is very big number. Without an advocate leader who is leading from the front, even the best of the tools can't help. I'm sure you might be resonating with this. That's why performance appraisals play a very critical role in terms of retaining the top talent who actually is running the show. With that, let's conclude the episode today. Thank you so much for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time. Bye-bye. And we are signing off for today. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful guest.